Unlike my upload schedule, 2024 has gotten out to a strong and consistent start. Just in the winter season, we've had multiple shows that could compete for Anime of the Year. I know there's still a lot of anime to air in 2024, but it's gonna be incredibly difficult for them to even come close to Frieren. There's this phenomena that happens a couple times a year where a newly airing anime will make it to the top of the male charts, overtaking Full Metal. These are just usually knee-jerk reactions from people rating a show 10 out of 10 after only watching like 2 episodes.
That's a 10.
As the show continues to air, it'll start to drop, and then once it finishes, drop even more. It's happened with countless animes: Bleach, Attack on Titan, Gintama, Fruits Basket. They may have had their stint at the top, but eventually they must give way to their true overlord, the Full Metal Alchemist fan base.
Know your fucking place, trash!
But Frieren, it's doing the exact opposite. I remember the first part of the 1,000-Year Blood War was right around a 9.2 for the first half or so, but has fallen down to just over 9. Still an insane score, but the first episodes of Frieren were also near a 9.2. And 28 weeks later, quick note, fuck that movie, saw it when I was 10, scarred me for years, and it is almost up to a 9.4. It's rare to see an anime with that level of consistency on a 12-episode run, let alone 28. But could this still be recency bias playing on people's minds? Is Frieren not that good?
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up!
No. It's actually almost fucking perfect. Like, we're talking maybe a top 5 season ever, and it might not be 2 through 5. But why is Frieren seemingly loved by everyone? I remember scrolling Twitter and seeing someone ask this exact question. A majority of the responses were, it's a comfy show. Which is true, but like, my bed is comfy, but I'm still waking up in the morning with a fucking back that hurts.
My neck! My back! My neck and my back!
What makes Frieren, at least for me, is the journey and the unique perspective it's told from. Frieren is actually quite similar to Mushoku Tensei in the way the story is presented, you know, just minus all the degeneracy. It's a fantasy setting, but feels more relatable than most slice of lifes. And you know, the fact that it's probably the best thing Madhouse has ever animated doesn't hurt either. With these fantasy shows, we're so used to seeing the actual journey. The hero and his party embark on a mission to defeat the Demon King and save mankind. We get to see their struggles and growth until the climactic battle. And then, it ends.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
We rarely get to see what happens after, or rather, beyond the journey's end. With Frieren, that's where our story starts. The heroes have returned from their mission and the town is celebrating a new age of peace. 10 years of adventuring finished. A mere 10 years. To any of us, doing something for 10 years would seem like a long time. After all, we're human. We can only experience so many of these 10 years. Human lives are limited, but what about an elf? Elves are extremely common in fantasy media. These mythological beings that can live sometimes for hundreds, even thousands of years. 10 years to an elf probably feels like what a single game of League of Legends feels for me. When time isn't a concern for you, you start to become apathetic.
エルフの感覚はわかりませんね。まったく、いつから生きているのやら。50年も100年も彼女にとっては些細なものなのかもしれませんね。
Frieren nonchalantly says she plans on collecting spells for the next 100 years or so, and that she'll drop by every now and again. At first I was like, this is real funny, you know, she wouldn't just go off on her own for another 50 years without seeing any of them.
Grow up.
The show does an excellent job right away at displaying how time moves for an elf. A simple 2-minute montage that didn't even seem too extravagant was 50 years. That whole beyond part in the Beyond Journey's End started to make sense real quick. Honestly, I was already shocked to see the drastic aging of Himmel, but to cut from a wholesome and emotional reunion to my man in a coffin hit surprisingly hard for a character I knew for maybe 10 minutes. I'm also gonna say it, was a little bit pissed at Frieren. Like, I know that the elves don't usually get romantically involved, but Himmel might actually be the perfect human. He is him. I, as a straight male, was like, you know what? I might be able to make an exception.
I'm not gay, but if I was, He'd be my man for sure.
However, Himmel's death acts as a catalyst for Frieren to learn more about humans and the people she meets on her adventures, and it further reiterates the theme for the show: time. Everyone's life, not just the ones in fiction, are a journey full of adventures. You'll meet new people and experience new things, and sometimes those people you meet you'll never see again, or those experiences will be bad. But what's most important is that you did them. Our time is finite, and everyone wants to leave their mark, but you shouldn't rush through life. It's important to make memories no matter how minor and cherish those memories throughout our existence.
Life. There's roadblocks.
And in Frieren, we get to watch these experiences in a really cool dynamic. We have Frieren, who's lived through multiple generations, now finally learning to be cognizant of time and acting as sort of this role model and passer of the torch to Fern and Stark, who get to learn from Frieren's experiences. It's not just that stereotypical learn from wise master, as we see Frieren constantly learning and being challenged from the people around her. Now, Frieren isn't going to blow your dick off with action every episode.
Hey, call somebody. I gotta get my dick sewn back on.
It does have its moments, which we'll get to later, but that doesn't make the experience any less enjoyable. I briefly compared Frieren to Mushoku Tensei, and that's because they do the thing that so many other fantasy adaptations fail to do: show the journey. We get these shows, hero assembles in a kingdom, teleports somewhere else, maybe does some training, jump cut to somewhere else. Sure, we get to see these characters grow and learn, but we miss all of the finer details in between the major events. Just like in life, not everything we do is going to be exciting, but that doesn't make it less important. Could you imagine if they just cut out the entirety of meeting Sign because nothing spectacular happens and he doesn't join the party? And listen, the only demons I'm going to fight are my inner ones, so being able to watch some characters search for some flowers or helping someone fix their wagon, as minute as they might be, are experiences relatable to the ordinary person. And it's a breath of fresh air when we encounter characters, they don't feel completely useless. Sure, old man who needed pumpkins moved didn't really contribute to the story, but it's nice to see that even side characters get their chance to shine, whether that be in fights or perhaps backstory. There's countless characters that have had an impact on the adventure up until this point. Just as in our lives, we'll meet countless people, and even if these people aren't in our lives forever, they can still affect us in many ways.
I don't know you, and I don't care to know you.
It was quite refreshing to see characters that had both their strengths and weaknesses highlighted, even if they were opposing our main cast for a majority. Almost every character had some form of likability. Denkin was portrayed as this dark political figure looking only for power, but he just wants to visit his wife's grave. Richter, trying to actually murder children immediately, but he's a proud and hard worker just trying to get by. Werbel is a mage who only sees magic for killing, but then he'll just casually help out an old lady in need. Yubel, nah, she's just a crazy bitch.
I said bitch.
It's wild to see how many characters have still been influenced by the deeds of Himmel, even long after his passing. When I look at all of the hero stories I've consumed, Himmel might be the closest embodiment to a true hero.
偽物の勇者で僕は魔王を倒して世界の平和を取り戻すそうすれば偽物だろうが本物だろうが関係ない
He had a couple flaws. He's a little bit goofy, a tad bit narcissistic as well. But of course people are going to remember him for taking down the Demon King. But what sticks more with people are the smaller actions that impacted them personally.
やれ村を襲った魔物を退治しただの。やれ商人の護衛をしただの。ひどいもんだと、単なる荷物運びまであった。全然大したことじゃねえ。つまんねえ話だ。
Even though he's passed on some 20, 30 years, he's constantly used as a point of reference for Frieren and others on how to approach certain situations and live just as a good person. At first I was kinda pissed that we weren't gonna learn much about Himmel, but by the end of the season it felt that he was just as important to the show as anyone else. Now, one thing I've heard people say is that Frieren is too slow and boring. You know, God forbid every anime isn't a battle shonen, but they still out here fucking slaying dragons, killing demons, killing themselves.
You should kill yourself now.
Sure, we're spending time going from town to town, meeting different people, but not every episode is just them having a little fucking cup of tea.
今はのんびりティータイムか。
Because while Frieren isn't non-stop action, when we do get action, it just so happens to be some of the best I've seen in anime, period. You see the first fight and you're like, there's no way that shit gets better. And then it does. Certainly they can't keep it up for all season, but then they do. Frieren's just out here casually one-tapping a demon that was so strong she had to seal it away. Not even 3 episodes later, dragon fight, 2D mind you, absolute filth. Then we got the fights against the demons and all of the encounters in the mage exams leading up until the fight with the Frieren copy. Oh, yeah, and let's not act like Frieren didn't have one of the absolute coldest moments in anime history.
Oh, fuck.
Imagine going up against a seemingly impossible foe to overpowering them into killing themselves. She is the epitome of built different. But it's not just the effects of the magic either, but the unique camera angles, the smoothness of the fast-paced movements, the colors, the attention to details even in the background, the battle strategies, the music. And once these battles have subsided and you keep watching, you start to realize the entire fucking show is like this. You want insane backgrounds? Have them. Super detailed shots? Sure. Random ass flower spells to go hard for absolutely no reason? Why not?
That shit beautiful than a motherfucker.
I don't think I've ever seen an anime with this level of animation consistency as Frieren. Madhouse is one of the most legendary animation studios of all time and have created countless stunning animes, but this really feels like peak. I don't know if there is a single scene that feels out of place or rushed. It might not be pizzazz all the time, but it feels deliberate and is executed perfectly to me. Overall, Frieren is a fresh take on a rather predictable and saturated genre. It's full of life lessons and characters that feel more real than their fantasy setting. There's no need for any over-the-top theatrics, forced comedy, or fan service. It's just great writing, interesting characters, and top-level animation. The moments, no matter how small or impacting to the story, all contribute to this overall journey. To me, the first season was borderline perfect, and while I'm happy that I have 28 episodes to watch back, I am sad to see it go.
ヒンメルってさ、すごくあっさり人と別れるよね。
でも旅を続けている以上、また会うことだってあるだろう。涙の別れなんて僕たちには似合わない。
This shit means something to me, man.
I can only assume based on the success of this anime that we'll be getting another season, and I can't wait to see what's in store in the future. Just as we have plenty more challenges to face in our lives, so does Frieren and company. I know some people are still going to shout recency bias at the show or say it's too boring, but it's been a while since any piece of media has made me feel the way watching Frieren has. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you had a chance to watch Frieren, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I apologize for being gone for so long. I know I said I was going to be working on a larger project in my last video, which was, 4 or so months ago, which I still am, but life has honestly been moving a million miles a minute, and I've had to put some stuff on the back burner. I'd like to say that this marks my consistency arc, but I'll probably fuck it up again somehow. To everyone supporting me, I appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you very, very soon.